So worldliness then is characterized by what you might call speech mind, a lot of talking, conceptualizing, and the exchanging of views and opinions, communication based on language, and based on a language that gives rise to a certain perspective, certain way of experiencing the world, begin to see the world through that lens of language, that lens of me and you and this and that. Without closer inspection, it's very easy then to find that the world as we know it is being determined by this language process, this speech mind process that just has momentum but has consequences as well. The main consequence being the impression of being divided in some sense, being divided by the impression of the me here and the you there, the me here and the it there, goal orientation, and sense of being entrapped at times by certain things, therefore wanting to eradicate or destroy those situations or feelings, sensations that have that quality of claustrophobia about them, can basically results in a lot of casting around, feeling in a sense unhinged, like a door without a hinge. Nothing at the core, nothing substantial, nothing solid, because thoughts, they go like smoke. They just they disappear like smoke. And so to be dependent on this thinking mind, this speech mind process entirely for cognizing, understanding who and what we are, what life's about, who I am, who you are, all of this stuff which is sort of fundamental to a conscious life. To rely on speech mind is to be disappointed and to be haunted by a sense of ongoing lack of resolution. So what it then does this Dhamma path offer? What is the Dhamma path for? Well, in a sense it's very much about learning to let that process of evaporating speech mind happen instead of resist it. And in a sense, when thoughts evaporate, we continuously try and reassert them. This is what fundamentalism is. This is what you listen on the radio with people who have this sort of overconfidence about their views and opinions, yet everything that is coming out of their mouth is simply just disappearing into nothingness. Is unholdable and is never anywhere near descriptive of reality. It's only ever a partial description. So if we are concerned about experiencing directly reality for ourselves, and that is what this tradition is for, and that's what life is for in a sense, is to take possession of life fully and know for yourself the entirety of it, then this is what occasions such as this are for. And the whole coming into accord with the truth of what the speech mind is about is very much part of that process, the understanding and the experiencing of its conventional nature, and the surrendering to the fact that to know, to understand, to experience life in its fullness is to surrender that piece of equipment, that faculty, to the truth of its inherent nature, which is to arise and pass away and disappear and vanish. Now, to describe it in that way can leave you with the impression that it's what remains is just some sort of a vacuum, and of course it's not a vacuum that this practice is going to guide you into, and it's not what nature is guiding us into. It's not why thoughts evaporate. Thoughts evaporate in nature so as we can then begin to fall into the deeper truth that is more direct, more real than the process of conceptualization. There's something underlying that which is faster, deeper, more meaningful, more truthful, more satisfying, more nourishing. In Greek Orthodoxy they talk about the head, in a sense, dissolving into the heart. Now we're not talking about the emotional heart, but we're talking about the heart as the principal organ for spiritual awakening, spiritual perception. So this is not something that is dependent on cleverness. There's nothing clever about it. It's about surrendering with sensitivity to that which is already the case, that which is already happening, the igniting, you might say, of the faith faculty. The sada, the faith faculty, where the heart begins to experience a quality of excitation and a quality of being energized as it opens to what is essentially a mystery. So with what is commonly thought of as breath meditation, anapanasati as it's called in this tradition, we are beginning to then attune ourselves to this process, which will actually in truth unfold naturally if we learn to let go. But with breath meditation, we're not focusing really just on the sensation of air coming in through the nose, in a sense, although that connection with air does associate us with openness, spaciousness, an experience without boundary. But as that coordinates with the interior experience, and this is the meaning of anapanasati, anima being the word that is closely associated with the idea of anapanasati. So it's anima, it's soul, it's the soul animates your life. And also atmos, it comes from the idea of atmosphere. So in a sense, to become attuned to the atmosphere of your soul. Prana, anapana, anaprana. It is the life force, the vitality, the electricity that in a sense surges through your body, through your cells. The atmosphere of that, sensing that with attention focused at the center of the chest. In so doing, then we are beginning to coordinate the head and the heart. And there is, in time, real structural change that can happen as the thinking mind becomes entrained or synchronized or attuned to the heart's vibration. Till eventually thought itself can just become a distant echo that will arise according to need, but no longer remains the principal organ of understanding. So while I use words to try and describe this, in a sense to understand it is for those words to become more and more distant, more and more irrelevant. As the heart matures, then it moves towards samadhi, which is in a sense complete or unmoving or completely undivided samadhi. This is the citta vimutti, the release of the heart. That in a sense is the goal of this practice, the nirvanic potential of all human beings. And the discovery of our grand nature as opposed to the partial nature, that is the impression most people live by, of a separate person confined by the body and limited in space and time. So this is a timeless, deathless, perfect realization, which is our birthright, our potential.